I'm going to go through a way to create a one-room house in conformance to Steven Holl's book Pamphlet Architecture #9, American House Types. So this is like the simplest possible house that we see in America, a one-room pen with a gabled roof. And we'll make a parametric model of that. It allows us to modify it very easily. So you can see the house here, and I can modify the depth. So let's try that. And I can modify the length. Get that, and I can modify the height of the eave like that, and I can modify the ridge height like that. So, that's what we're going to achieve as I go through this demonstration. All right, the first step is to create a new conceptual mass, and I get this. And then I need to create some reference planes to draw on. So I'm going to click on this reference plane and control-click, drag it out like that. And I'm actually going to name this, and I'm going to call it the right edge. How about right? Yeah, that's. I'm going to call it the right edge, call it the right plane. And I'm going to click on this and drag out to both sides like this. And I'm going to call this one the front plane, and this one the back plane. And then I'm going to create dimensions on that. Now I've got to set my drawing plane to be this bottom one down here. If I turn on show, I can see it. I'll pick the align tool, and I'm going to drag all the way across here, and I have a dimension. And I'm going to dimension these to make sure that it's a center line. If I click on this EQ here, it will be equal dimensions here, which means that's a center line. I'll also put on a dimension here like that. Now, if I pick this dimension, I can add a label to it, and I'm going to call it depth. An instance, it's a length. And if I click on this, I'm going to call it width. Width and a depth. And just to see that these work, I can drag these around. We see the parameter value changes, and it stays a center line, and this one drags in this way, but I can't go in the, I don't go beyond that point. So it seems to work okay. Now the next step is I could draw a box down here. Whoops, I'm drawing in the wrong plane, so I have to go set my plane. There we go, better. I'm going to draw a box right here. Actually, I'm going to click on that block box. I'm going to change it to a reference line. And it looks different now. It's going to behave similar to model lines, but a little bit different. And we'll see that as we go. So I'm going to pick the alignment tool, and I'm going to align this edge and lock it. Alignment tool, lock that one, alignment. Something's off there. And align those. So what's happening is this one, I've accidentally moved it down a little bit. So it doesn't really matter. If we spin this around, we can see that we've drawn it correctly anyway. It's just floating slightly above the bottom of this plane. And then I can pick that and I can create a form. And it creates a form like that. Now, if I pick this object again, you see it has locked profiles. So that's one of the aspects of using reference lines is by default, it will, when we extrude it, it will have locked profiles. So, I have my little box here, and it's flat. Everything looks good. It's doing fine. All right, now the next step is to draw the gable end. So I'm going to go over here. I'm actually going to go to the west view. Now I know from experience that if I draw it in the west view and extrude it, it will go towards the east view. If I draw it in the east view and extrude it, it will go further east. Well, it'll just be easier if I draw it here and extrude it towards the east. So I go to my west view and zoom in on this. Now, one thing before I do that, I want to draw a plane to represent the eave. So I'm going to pull that up, click on that plane, and I'm going to call it level eave, just so I know what I mean to use it for. And I've got that in place. And I'm going to put a dimension on it. I have to create a drawing plane for that dimension, choose a drawing plane for that dimension, perpendicular to the level. So, and I'm going to call this the height eave. It'll be an instance also. So then I can go to my west view, and I'll see that level shows up. I want that. I want to be able to draw on it, to lock to it. So I'm going to click on my reference here, reference line, and I will draw the gable end like this. Notice that it snaps to those reference planes that I created. It actually snaps and locks, which we can see if I move that around. So if I click on this and move it, it stayed snapped here. It's a center line, so it moved around that. Now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put a dimension on the height of this triangle. So I'll pick a line, and it finds that point. And I place that dimension, pull it out here so I can see it. And I'm going to click on that and give it a name, create a parameter. And this parameter will be height ridge. And it's an instance. So, so I've created that one. Now I'm going to click on this and create a form. And as it does, well, let's create a form. So we created a form. And we'll see that that's locked profiles already by default. So that looks great. Now, if I go to the south view, get a good view of that gable roof, and I can use the alignment tool to align to this endpoint and lock that together. Test that by dragging this around, making sure it behaves the way we want. It looks good to me. Look at it in 3D, it looks good. The only thing missing so far is the height of that bottom. And if I click on Align and click on here and align this surface and lock it, I should have it all aligned. If I move that up, it moves up the way it should. The gable end stays the same size. And it all looks pretty good. So there's our little one-room house. We can control it by parameters. So the height eave, let's make that 10 feet. The height ridge, let's make it 8 feet. Width, let's make it 12 feet. And the depth, let's make that 14 feet. And it all seems to work. Now, one final thing I want to put on here is I want to make the depth equal to the width. So it's always a square. And now it's always a square. So that kind of completes that one, and I'm going to save it. So save, call it Hall one room. So for Steven Holl's one-room house. And I'm going to load it into a project just to test it. Let's get a project out for testing. New project. And we can put these in here, drag them around, drag their edges around and see how they behave. Look at them in 3D, and they look great.